The iPhone X represents the biggest change to the iPhone lineup in 10 years, but it also has the biggest price ever at $999. Is it worth it for you? The biggest change to the iPhone X is what's not here. And so you're not going to see a home button down here. There's no Touch ID, and that's to make room for the Super Retina display. It's 5.8 inches and it goes edge to edge, and it's a gorgeous OLED panel at that. Around back, you have a glass design, as well as a very nice looking and pretty sturdy stainless steel band that wraps around the whole outside. When you compare the iPhone X to the iPhone 7 Plus and other iPhones, the one thing you're going to notice right away is that the bezels are gone, although you might not like the notch. And it's not that distracting when you're in apps that have a dark background, but when you go over to something like iMessages, you can see that it swoops down from the bottom of the screen. Because there isn't a home button on the iPhone X, there is a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to closing apps and switching between apps. So, for example, let's say I have the browser open, and I want to go back to the home screen. You swipe up, which is actually not that hard to do. But what about when you want to switch between apps? Instead of double tapping the home button, you swipe up and then hold, and you can see that the other cards start to fill in. What about forced quitting apps? There's actually an extra step that I don't like. You have to press and hold the screen before you swipe up. Apple is a little late to the game when it comes to OLED displays, but the Super Retina display on the iPhone X is actually the best we've ever tested. We put it up against the Google Pixel 2 XL and the Galaxy Note 8, and we saw more realistic colors from the iPhone X, wider viewing angles, and better brightness under normal conditions. And you can really see the results when you look at trailers like this, like Thor. It fills the entire display despite the notch, and it's not that distracting. With the iPhone X, unlocking your phone is as easy as just staring at it, and that's because of Face ID. Apple isn't the first to introduce this sort of technology, but it works better than what I've seen on Samsung because it uses a sophisticated map of your face using the new front TrueDepth Camera. It's not quite as fast as Touch ID, but the trick is to just start swiping up as soon as you stare at your phone to get into the device. The iPhone X's TrueDepth Camera up front is good for a couple of other things. One is portrait mode. Now you can take much better looking selfies and apply Apple's new lighting effects. So let's say, for example, I'm on the street right here, and I want to look at studio light. It fills the light right in. Contour, looks like I'm wearing makeup a little bit, but there is a nice little thinning effect. If you're looking for something that is as creepy as it is fun, check out Animoji on the iPhone X, which is exclusive to this phone. And it also uses the TrueDepth camera up front to map your facial movements to one of 12 different characters. With the iPhone X, Animoji records 10-second video clips of your animations, and then you can share them out to other iPhone owners or other Android phone owners. If you're wondering about the back-facing rear cameras on the iPhone X, I can tell you that they're great. Even better than the iPhone 8 Plus because you get a lower aperture on one of the dual lenses on the back, and that means you're getting better low-light performance, especially as you zoom in with the 2x optical zoom, so there's a little less fuzziness right there. The only area where the iPhone X falls flat versus the competition is that the Google Pixel 2 in our test offered better low-light performance, especially indoors. There's actually not a lot to say about the iPhone X's performance because it's really just as good as the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus. That's because it has the super fast A11 Bionic chip on the inside, and it blows the doors off of the Android competition. Not just in terms of synthetic benchmarks, but in real-world tests. The other great thing about the A11 chip is that you're going to get better performance when you're playing augmented reality games like this, and because you have an edge-to-edge display, the experience is going to be a lot more immersive than it is on the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. With all this power packed into a compact frame, you're probably wondering how long does the iPhone X last on a charge? It's actually very good, but not best in class. On the Tom's Guide battery test, we saw about 10 hours and 49 minutes of runtime. That's about an hour longer than the category average, but other phones get between 11 and 12 hours. When you finally do run out of juice, you can get a lot back in a hurry by plugging in a fast charger from Apple. In fact, with a device like this and the right cable, you can get 50% of capacity in just 30 minutes. The only problem is that these accessories cost extra on top of a $1,000 phone. And now for the biggest question, is the iPhone X worth $1,000? Yes, but it's not for everyone. The iPhone 10 costs about $6 to $8 more per month. It's also about $10 to $12 more than an iPhone 8, but the reason why I'd pay extra is because I'm getting a big display and a more compact design, less bezels, a better screen with OLED technology, better front and back-facing cameras. The battery didn't last quite as long as the iPhone 8 Plus, but this is the phone I'd rather have in my pocket. For the full review of the iPhone 10, make sure you go to tomsguide.com. This is Mark Spooner.